Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about a book that I just recently finished. I heard of the book through Ali Abdaal, who is another YouTuber, and it is called Your Money or Your Life. Now, after I finished the book, I realized that this is the author who created like the FIRE movement or like financially independent retire early movement, which I had no idea that these were related. I just thought the title was kind of cool. So the book is called Your Money or Your Life. And the subtitle is 9 Steps to Transforming Your Relationship with Money and Achieving Financial Independence. And I guess it's been updated since it was written in 2018. And so I'm just kind of going to go over the ways that I took notes on this book and kind of the key concepts of the book. So first, I kind of want to show you my most updated library in Notion. So as you can see here, I did my books in color. So they start out white and then they go into red, orange, and then yellow. So you'll find this book here. So let's open this guy up. I like to put the image as the thumbnail as well. And the reason I do it in color is because I can always find a book based on, like, I always remember the color of the book, but I can't necessarily remember the author or the exact name. So let's just go over some of the properties I have. So I have the title, of course. I have the subtitle, the date I read. So I finished this March 11th. The image status. So it's either in books to read, in progress, or complete. And then the author, which I will have a link to. I haven't been filling these out too well. I need to start. And then the influencer, so that's Ali Abdaal. He's the one who put the book in my radar, right? So it's either people I know or people I watch on YouTube. Related courses, so if I took like a money course, I could, link that there as well as, I don't know, just linking everything together, kind of like a massive Wikipedia page. The topics is finance and psychology. So I read a lot of psychology books, and it's either psychology and business, psychology and finance. I mean, they all kind of steer around psychology. And then used in meetings is just when I talk to coworkers or people that I'm working with or my managers or people I'm managing, I sometimes will bring up books and I like to remember what book I brought up to them. So I have that link as well. So first off, there are, I think there's 9 steps total. 9 steps in this like program that the book talks about. So step 1 was making peace with the past. So just figure out how much you have earned your entire life and what you have right now. So just like no shame. This is only yourself. Just figure out how much you have. And then step 2 is tracking your life energy. So the whole concept of this book was that you are selling your time for money. And that is the only true thing about money, right? So I have a quote here. 100% of the time, money is something you trade your life energy for. You sell your time for money. So that is what I really picked out of that chapter. And so it's kind of asking you, how much are you trading your life energy for? And then figure out your actual cost per hour, how much you were charging per hour. And so that was kind of fascinating because I'm like, wow, it really is exchanging your time for money, which I knew that because when I started working, my first job experience or whatever was at Target. And that was the first time I was like, wow, like this coffee costs like an hour of my time. So it was almost like you would go buy a shirt and you're like, wow, that's 3 hours. So I started measuring the things I bought through hours of work. So that was I kind of knew that, but once you start getting in the career, you start forgetting that you still are selling your time for money. And then step 3 is where it's all going. So this is basically creating an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. You could use Notion. I've watched so many Notion videos and I can't quite get my system to work the way that I like it in Excel, but you're supposed to basically total all your expenses for certain categories. And I could do a separate video for that. And I'm pretty happy with mine. I do not spend a lot of money on personal stuff. The big things that keep me is education. So when I want to buy classes, I can't help myself. I can't. Like I bought a new She Codes class and it's the She Codes Plus and I spent like $500 on that class because there was like a flash sale and I've been stalking that website forever and I really like the first class. So that's the one that gets me every month. But as far as clothes and stuff like that, I've really started not spending so much on that. So just tracking everything. So I just will go through and like I said, I'll make a video on it, but I just go through my credit card and I will just go and pick and manually enter. I know it sounds tedious, but I know there's like those apps out there. I think it's like Mint and some other apps that can consolidate, but they don't get the categories right sometimes. And I like to know where I'm putting my money because I know whether it was skincare or makeup, and I know whether it was like a gym or just like buying a yoga mat. So I feel like the manual entry is kind of necessary, but I'm still working with Notion to get this tracking in Notion. 3 questions here. So step 4, did I receive fulfillment, satisfaction, and value in proportion to life energy spent? So you're supposed to ask these questions as you tally up your stuff. Is this expenditure of life energy in alignment with my values and life purpose? So for myself, I love education. I love classes. I'm a lifelong learner. So if I buy something that is like I said, the She Codes class, that is in alignment with my values. You know, I'm not buying it on a fuzzy blanket or fuzzy slippers, right? Although I might like those too, but it is in alignment with my values and life purpose. And then how might this expenditure change if I didn't have to work for money? So this is actually a really cool concept in the book where it talks about this idea of work causing you more money than you would if you weren't working, which, I mean, we all know, but I didn't really think about it until I was like, well, I did buy a nice car because I wanted to look like a professional. And it's like, sometimes I go get coffee and I go to lunch because it makes me feel professional by going to lunch with my coworkers. So they really are like add up, and all the gas that I use. And I start thinking all the things that I'm like, oh, I need a new microphone so that in meetings they can hear me better. Like, I feel like I'm making up excuses for stuff that I buy for work. Because it's for work, you know, it goes in that category. So that was kind of an interesting take. Let's see, step 5, making life energy visible. So they start to say that you're supposed to make like a graph, and I'll get to it at the bottom here. And you're supposed to tally up your monthly expenses and then your monthly income, and then the gap is your savings, right? And so it gave a little interesting take on debt. And I'm like $40,000 in debt, and I need to get my shit together. But this is kind of like kicking my ass. Like, it's time to move on that. So step 6, minimizing spending. I think everybody knows we should all minimize spending. Yes, we've heard that many times. There was a quote that I grabbed. It was once we've acquired the dream house, the status car, or the perfect partner, we rarely stop to enjoy them thoroughly. Instead, we're often running to the next coveted acquisition. So I'm actually going to link the psychology of money here. So I'm just going to do / link to page. And I'm gonna do the psychology, if I can spell psychology of money here, because the psychology of money actually talks about never enough, this idea of just having enough. I didn't do a lot of notes. It was a good book. It was a lot of vague. Like this book that we're talking about right now is not vague. Like, they tell you how to do things, but here there was this idea of getting the goalpost to stop moving. So I think it's worth linking there. So I'll just add that guy there. And this is how it reinforces me to look back at the other books that I've read, right? By linking them together. And I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this concept. So here's some ways to save money. The best one is don't go shopping. And I never really thought it was that easy, but I have not like gone out on the weekend to go shopping in so long, and it has saved so much money. You just don't go out. And this sounds like very antisocial. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but if you just don't go out, you can't spend money, right? And now you have the internet and all that, but I actually am not bad on impulse purchase on the internet, except for Fabletics almost got me the other day with those 2 for $24 leggings. And then let's see, live within your means, take care of what you have, wear it out, anticipate your needs. So the anticipate your needs one, I started and let's link to database here. Well, I don't really want to, I just want to link it. I'm just going to link it to a page, and it's my to buy page. I started this So this guy, you can see I'm anticipating my need for these things. I mean, these aren't like I really need these things, but a new camera would be nice, you know, maybe some new editing software, maybe a laptop, LG TV, docking station, maybe a new desk. So I'm anticipating myself spending money on those, and it kind of makes it more fun to go after those items, right? So I'm just gonna link that there because that was kind of inspirational here. Questions to ask yourself: who are you trying to impress when you spend something? What's the last item you actually wore out? I'm actually pretty good with makeup on those. Like I go down to the pan. So that would be my answer. Maximizing income. So the book then goes into this idea of like, what is work, right? What is the purpose of work? Which I love. Okay, I have read Design Your Work Life. I mean, I could literally link so many books here. We're just gonna start linking. Eat, Sleep, Work, Repeat. So I'm gonna do a little link, and then we'll do Eat, Sleep, and then Designing Your Work Life would be a huge one. Well, actually, I'm gonna put a space here, and then link, and let's do Design Your Work Life. So there's lots of books I've read. Well, I'm trying to think. This is more work-life balance, right? So I'm just gonna keep those two. I could link like 10 more, but I'm gonna keep it to just these two. And then what is the purpose of work? Okay, so obviously earning money, sense of security, service, learning. Learning's a huge one. That's core value here. Power, which I do find, because I feel like in my job I have a good amount of power, but I feel like if I were to go and do a bunch of grunt work and I'd be like the 10,000th employee at this one little office, I don't know if I could do that. I wouldn't feel as like worthy or powerful. Socializing, that's a huge one. I have a huge community within my work. Like, I think I would have a full-blown crisis if I didn't work with the people I work with now, because we go out all the time. Like on Friday we went to McMinimans, and like we hang out as a group outside of work. So socializing and being around smart people, I do enjoy. Time structuring. You don't think about this, but you're lazy. You're friggin' lazy when you're not working. Did that today. And then it starts talking about that they're not buying our work, but they're also, the corporations are buying your personality as well. Like your cultural norms, what you wear, where you do lunch. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And then it gives this idea that you need to make a separation between getting money and like disconnecting money from work, right? So you can have like work outside of getting paid. Like you can go meet those people without being part of the company. So it was kind of interesting, and I don't know where I am on that fence yet. I would feel like I have an identity crisis. I think that's what they're trying to warn you about. The crossover point. Okay, so this is the graph I was talking about. It looks shitty because I got this off the internet, but there's a trend of your income here, and then you have a trend of your monthly expenses here, and then you invest a good amount of these savings into like an investment account, and then once your dividends or your interest or whatever your investments money that you're getting hits your expense, that's when you retire. Obviously you make a little cushion, but that is the whole theory. And then it talks about ways to earn investment income, and you have interest, so you could buy a bond, a CD, you could do dividends, which is what I'm doing right now. So shares of profits that are paid out. So I do that through Robinhood. I also do that with index funds and 401ks and stuff like that. You could rent real estate. I mean, you could like buy a house and then rent it out. So there's lots of different options. And then the last question was, if you could take a year off, how would you spend it? And that one really resided with me. And I got pretty excited. I put a little toggle here, but I just would read. I would literally build a library in my house. I'd surround myself by books. I would buy a bunch of fancy lamp, and I would buy a bunch of really cool dark wood, cherry wood, have like dark lighting, and I would just read. And like, I don't even know, that is what I do. And I'd take classes, and maybe I'd go to the beach. But like, that is my idea of what I would do if I had like the whole year off and I had like a good amount of money. And that actually doesn't cost a lot. But I will warn you, when you read this book, you will have a total existential crisis. It's going to happen. I got like halfway through and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like rethinking my whole entire life, everything that I've worked on. And I'm like, I am not getting paid a lot, and like you just start going through these things, but you come back out at the end fired up. You're like ready to save, and then you just, once you like start transferring big chunks of money into your Capital One account, which is how I do it, and I'll do a video on it, then you start feeling more motivated. So the existential crisis will come, you will survive, and we will get through this. So this is kind of how I've been taking my notes and Notion, and kind of an update on what I've been doing. And then you can see I just have tons and tons of books that I've been reading and working on, trying to improve, which again, core value here. But I'm trying to think of any other money books that I've read recently, like Your Money or Your Life. I like to read one every couple months just to remind myself, to reel myself back in. Because sometimes I get on like binges of learning stuff, and then I need to focus back on finances. But anyway, The Psychology of Money was also one that I recently read. And this book also reminded me a lot of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I don't know if I have notes for that one. Here it is. Oh yeah, so it shows your checking account. I would say I Will Teach You to Be Rich was better. Oh, I would say they're pretty hand in hand. I Will Teach You to Be Rich has more like step by step. Like they're like, go to this website and click this link and do this. Where this, How Your Money or Your Life, it was more psychology, you know? And then he tells you kind of like what to do and how to set everything up. So I would say this, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, is a must for anyone who's just starting to like get money and start their career. And then this is a great book to add on top of it, like hand in hand, because that I Will Teach You to Be Rich tells you how to do it. This one also gets a little more psychology, and then mixed together, I feel like they're the perfect fit. Like I would put these together in a package and I give it to every person who graduates college. Anyway, went on a long tangent there, but that is what I've been working on. The next book that I'm reading, so I have them in my lap here. I recently found this MIT Press Essential Knowledge series in Barnes & Noble. So I'm reading Deep Learning right now because I'm learning Python, and I'm like, why not? And then I bought the other one, which is Data Science, but it's still the MIT Knowledge series. And it's kind of cool because they're trying to bring like MIT level knowledge to like everyday readers. And then I think this is a kid's book. I'm a little embarrassed that I bought this, but it's called How to Think Like a Coder Without Even Trying. And it's got like robots on the front, but I'm totally convinced this is a children's book, but I don't care because it's actually really cool. And it's got like little pictures, and it tells you like, what's the definition of a RAM, you know, like random access memory. Like, I didn't know that. And it talks in like a kid could understand it. I'm like, this is the perfect book. So check this one out. It's pretty cool. But that's kind of the order that I'm reading things in at the moment. And if I find a book that's like really cool, I always like to share it with you guys. So if you guys are reading anything, any financial books or any weird children coding books, comment below, and I'll see you guys next time.